All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself. Stick around. We'll talk about Cliff Kingsbury soon. But first, I'm Jason Whitlock. That's Marcellus Wiley.
Yes,
Coming
sir.
up, we'll tell you if Patrick Mahomes will survive his playoff debut.
And if Sean McVay is under more pressure than Jason Garrett. But we start every day with a Whitlocks. What you got today, big dog?
Oh, man. Remember when the mainstream sports media told you for decades that a playoff system would improve college football? Remember? How's it working out? Is college football better today than it was 20 years ago or even 10 years ago? Is knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that Clemson is the best team in college football better than the crazy debates we used to have after the January 1 bowl games? The 2018 college football season closed with a whimper last night. Dabo Swinney's Clemson Tigers smashed Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide 44-16. Congrats to Dabo and his boys. They are the kings of a game that has been diminished, a game that isn't quite as prestigious and captivating as the game that previously crowned a mythical champion. Myths are oftentimes superior to reality. Myths are powered by the connective tissue of tradition. We now live in an era with absolutely zero respect for tradition or the past. We live in the groupthink, know-it-all media era where the mainstream media constantly work to disconnect us from and demonize our traditions and our past. College football caved to the know-it-alls who claimed the sport was broken because its postseason ended without a playoff. College football wasn't broken. The sport was unique and grand. It had the highest stake regular season in all of sports. Every game absolutely mattered. Winning a regular season conference championship was the ultimate prize, and playing in a major bowl game on New Year's Day was the bonus round. Being voted mythical national champion was the equivalent of Santa Claus coming down your chimney the first week of January and leaving a gift. Yeah, college football was Santa Claus, one of the greatest myths ever invented. Was Christmas made better when you learned Santa Claus wasn't real? No. College football hasn't been made better by abandoning the traditions that made it great. In fact, the game has been hurt. Who played in the Sugar Bowl this year, the Orange Bowl? Do kids even know what the granddaddy of all bowl games is? College football has jettisoned its past, its tradition. Its regular season is a lot less important. The sport no longer captures the imagination of the American public the way it used to. They just played college football's most important game in Silicon Valley, the woke capital of the world, the place where football and its values are despised. Let me tell you something about the mainstream media, which I've been a part of for nearly 30 years. We're more clueless, dishonest, and destructive than a lot of the people we vilify. We ruin big-time college football by forcing it to mimic every other sport. All right, joining me now is the smartest man in football, in college football, Joel Klatt. Joel?
Other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
Get him.
Am I crazy?
Yes. First of all, I hope my kids are not watching because he just debunked Santa Claus there. Oh, my goodness. Listen, I would respectfully disagree. I think that college football has actually risen in stature, and its stature now in this country is second only to the professional version of its own sport. Last night, even with the ratings being down because of the rematch nature of what's going on between Alabama and Clemson, what you saw was a rating that trumps every other sport in this country except for the NFL. That's the most watched sporting event in the American sporting landscape other than the NFL. It trumps all the World Series games. It trumps the NBA Finals, all of them. And one of the things that I want to make sure that we are retaining is the fact that it has grown to that stature in part because it is not a myth anymore. And we do have somewhat of a postseason structure that many disagree with, but what we're doing is crowning a legitimate champion at 15-0. What I wouldn't have wanted to see this year is Alabama go to the Sugar Bowl and Clemson go to the Orange Bowl, and they both finish 14-0, and then we've got to what? Split a national championship like Michigan and Nebraska did in 1997? Is that really what you're arguing for? Is split national champions?
It just
Georgia
wasn't
Tech and
that
Colorado,
important,
Miami
Joel.
and Washington.
It wasn't that important.
I think it was because
Winning
I
the
just
SEC,
told you. I just
winning
told
the
you
Big
what the
Ten.
ratings were. This is the second most popular sport in our country. What more do you want? Is it going to pass the NFL? Probably not. But it has passed every other major sport in our country, in large part because they've done an interesting job of retaining the importance of the regular season while also giving us this bowl structure that has a postseason into it in regards to a
Very
playoff.
regional, Joel.
It is regional, and it's unfair for Joel to use those comparisons when they're not analogous. One, every sport outside of football is in a series when you talk about do or die. So it has to be a cumulative
compare,
rating.
that's
hard
right.
to
It's hard to
compare when
compare
you're
the
saying we got 7 of these versus 1, and it's a do or die situation. The measurement for their success has turned out to be economics. No one can dispute the economics of this. You basically extracted from these amateurs another 2 games from the top of those amateurs, and it's supported the economics, and I think that's what's losing me in terms of the spirit of the college football playoffs. Besides everything that Whitlock said, which I agree with, I'm just not as interested, but also it is a little disheartening to know that these players are not getting paid, A, but then you're going to extract even more out of these same players and not give them anything. So the greed element to me also is part of this conversation.
See, that's interesting because I feel like that's a totally different argument than what Jason's.
Well,
I
it's
would
an
agree
addition.
with you on that. I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't have a lot to disagree there because I believe in the economic argument.
Let me give you another layer,
Okay,
Joel,
please.
Because I didn't want to take up all the time and go over all my rants. I'm going to spread them out. Look at everybody turning pro and saying I'm not playing in a bowl game.
Okay.
That is another diminishment of college football, and it's going to lead very quickly here, no matter what everybody says, oh, it's too soon to expand. They're going to expand the playoffs.
Yeah, they will eventually.
And it's going to be driven by the fact they want these kids to play in the bowl games. It's going to be another financial decision. And there's going to be more exploitation of these kids and putting them in more games, that they don't make any money off of. It's going to do that. And it's because everybody's gone playoff crazy. It's so important that we know that Clemson's better than Alabama. It's not that damn important. College football was at its best to me when people thought winning their conference championship was the end-all, be-all. And yeah, there's this bonus. And I love the arguments.
But don't we still have that? Don't we still have that with the inclusion into the playoff?
Not this year.
Did you really love? Come on now.
Yes.
Let's go back. Did you really love arguing between Michigan and Nebraska, between USC
I didn't have a problem
and
with
LSU in 2000 and what was that? 4?
Y'all, people acted like at the time, because I've been saying this for 20 some odd years, people acted like there was some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder because you didn't get to play in the national championship game or you weren't voted national championship. We acted like that was some crime against
to
the kids.
win. Right? I mean, so
to win
you're arguing. Listen, you're arguing for the kids in one respect,
Yes.
and then out of the other side of your mouth, you're saying but we shouldn't allow them to reap the benefits of what they've worked hard for. Part of what you work hard for is monetary, yes, but part of what you work hard for as a team is to win a championship. So you're telling me that championship is no longer important?
Joel.
A legitimate. Ask Brian Greasy and Scott Frost how it feels to share 97. Miami and I keep bringing up all these.
Ask these kids that are out there playing Now they're playing 14 and 15 games, Joel. When we played 11 or 12 at the most. We're putting these kids at risk and making them do more work for the benefit of
I don't think you need to ask the kids.
You said the playoff is diminishing college football.
It is.
If you
It
said
is. The road to the playoffs
If you said the playoff is exploiting the players,
That's
now it's a different conversation.
When it exploits, it diminishes
Is the regular
game.
season as important as it was yesteryear? No. Are the bowl games, even an Alabama team that wins an Orange Bowl, trivia, everyone,
Yep.
did you know they won the Orange Bowl in the process?
I didn't know they played it.
Exactly. In the process of
watched
getting
the
to
game.
Why are
Didn't
you
even
playing
know
in San Francisco Stadium, Santa Clara? What bowl is that? Oh, it's not. It's the college
National
football
Championship Bowl.
National Championship Bowl, which was supposed to be a rotating bowl trophy, right? Which bowl is that?
It's not a bowl. It's basically a +1. It's a
Right.
national championship game.
What
I don't
happened
know
to
how
the
it-
Played
rotating
somewhere
bowl?
where they don't even care about football, and you know it.
Well, because it's there. I mean,
The
because they
money's
bid
there.
on it, right? I mean, they bid on it. What do you want me? What now? I'm supposed to defend where the game is at?
Well,
like
defend-
we're
want
attacking
you to
college football in a lot
acknowledge-
of different directions.
I want
Are we
you
talking about economics? Are we talking about the diminishment of the regular
We're
season?
talking about the diminishment
college
of college
football
football.
has
Yeah.
never been stronger. Period.
And
So,
what measurement, though? That's the thing.
popularity?
Oh, no, it's less popular right now. I mean,
Really?
look, I could talk about the energy. I could talk about the excitement. We could talk about why the ratings are down because people are not as interested, even though this was the third matchup in 4 years. Think about this. College football was good, and perfect is the enemy of good. What they tried to do was enhance something that was already damn good and try to make it perfect. And what they did is now undermine what the product was, which is now those regular season games don't mean exactly the same. And then after the conference championship games, Lord, December 24th on, what are we watching up
Yep.
into those moments?
Listen, all great points. And it's hard to defend a lot of the things in college football. It's convoluted. The structure is broken. There's a lot of things. And because of that brokenness, what you get is a lot of hands in there, a lot of cooks in the kitchen in order to try to fix it. But I will retain my position that only recently it's been the second most popular sport in our country, right? So you can say the ratings are down. Television ratings are down across the board. Sports viewing ratings are down across the board. Ask Major League Baseball how they're doing. Ask any number of sports how they're doing in ratings. They'll say they're down. The NFL is up this year. I think that they hold a unique position, college football does right now, that they have never held, which is the fact they are number 2.
I would agree. And to me, a lot of that has to do with problems with baseball and the pace of playing
Sure.
kids. NBA, no, the regular season doesn't matter, and they can say whatever they want on social media. The NBA, Adam Silver doesn't know what he's doing, and the NBA and the whole LeBron deal, they can tell those lies. The reality is the sports just doesn't compare to football. But Joe, my point is that the playoffs have not improved college football. It has satisfied the media, but it has not improved the game, in my view, for the players overall, all of them. I'm talking about all the way down to the Ball State,
I think it's
to the Mid-American.
improved their experience, and it has improved for Ball State because the finances trickle all the way down to the group of 5. I mean, these kids get treated better than any genre, any sector of kids that have ever played, in part because of the monetary means. Now, they're not getting it in their pocket, but they're certainly getting it in terms of experience and the facilities and the food that they're getting. I'm just... It's hard for me to sit here and be like, oh man, this like burn it to the ground. It's not helping the sport. There's a reason college football is number 2 right now. In part, it is the arguments surrounding the playoff and the fact that there is a playoff.
It's not about the playoffs. It's about the game. The game, football, is so strong, and the whole country has gone against anything masculine, that football's still about the only masculine thing we're allowed to do. That's why college football and the NFL are still popular. This playoff system has hurt college football.
Well, it's interesting. That argument is another topic, another segment, but I understand where you're coming from at the core. I will just say this in simple. If you look at college football right now, it has certainly satisfied the bottom line. We all agree there. It hasn't ruined college football in terms of economics. But what it has done is made an argument shift from now who's the champion to who should even be in contention for the championship. Ask Ohio State. Ask the UCFs of last year and most of this year. They're now on the outside. So what we're going to do is increase the model by giving it 8 teams once the 12-year deal is up.
16.
And then 16. But all we're doing is increasing economics and diminishing the road to that championship. That's my problem.
All right, let's move on to something a little less divisive. To the breakout star of last night's game.
Where can we agree?
Clemson's true freshman quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, who threw for 347 yards and 3 touchdowns and blew out Bama's vaunted defense. Lawrence was so good that after the game, people were projecting that he would be a top pick this year and complaining that he has to wait 2 more years to enter the NFL draft. All right, I'm about to contradict almost everything that I believe.
That's what we do.
Say.
That's what
I'm
we
about
do.
to. I don't have a problem with Trevor Lawrence having to play 2 more years of college football. I really don't. Adrian Peterson was ready to play, probably at 16 years old. Leonard Fournette was ready to play. other people. Hell, I played with a guy, Jeff George. He probably could have played early.
Day one.
John Elway. He's not the first. He's an anomaly. I don't think we got to change the whole system because Trevor Lawrence is good enough maybe to play in the NFL right now. I kind of agree with you, Joel, that you were saying on Cowherd's show. We're going a little overboard about last night's game.
And I think that he will be eventually one of the top prospects that we've seen in a long time. And there's certainly that ability. But, there's some brake pumping that needs to happen with Trevor Lawrence after last night. He made a couple of really poor throws and was bailed out by his wide receiver right here. You're seeing one, that reach back. I mean, he's really good. There's no doubt. Having said that, you railed against an institution that has made the sport the second most popular sport in our country, partly at least, with the playoff, and now you're not going to rail against what I think is the most unconstitutional thing maybe in our country, which is the fact that there are two skills, literally, in our country that if a young person possesses, they cannot monetize for an arbitrary amount of time deemed for them by a negotiating core that they have no access to. That makes no sense. I mean, that's the most un-American thing that we've got going on. Any other skill, you name it, except for playing basketball and playing football, you can go monetize as soon as you're good enough to monetize it.
As it relates to football, their union doesn't want kids coming in taking jobs from grown men. This is the collective bargaining
They don't
agreement.
want young guys coming in and taking their own jobs.
Yeah.
They're collectively bargaining on their own behalf without that party at the table. That's, quote, quote, collusion.
Joel, honest to goodness, I was prepared to do a television show coming straight out of high school. I couldn't do it. I had to go to college first. So,
But it wasn't masked. It wasn't masked.
Someone could have given you that ability right away. There was
you could have did public access, but look at you. You were too high economics.
But here's the deal. There was no arbiter in your own mind you were good enough, but if you were really good enough, there was no barrier to that happening.
Here's the problem.
Zero whatsoever.
I don't like the guys, the delusion that is being put out there, the mask of, well, we're trying to protect you from injury. You need to physically mature. I'm with Joe. Change the rule. I want to change the rule, but I always question why now in this kind of celebrity-driven culture. We wait till we see a potential number one overall pick, and then we're like, now's the time where we should talk about changing this rule. Adrian Peterson, these great talents. Hey, getting selected in the 4th round and just being a special team guy, if I'm ready for it, I would sign up for that, and some guys would have signed up for that as underclassmen. Here's the thing about the NFL. Everyone's going to get hurt. Soon as you step on that field, it's a violent sport, you're going to get injured. So this whole, well, you're not mature enough to handle it physically. Show me the guy who's went through the NFL from whatever age he entered that didn't walk away from that game already altered physically. It's a violent game. Let these guys do it. If their skills are to a point where someone wants them, if they're in demand, allow them to go up.
Yeah, my whole problem is that it's just because the tentacles of people around the other skills are not into those skills. You can't monetize. Colleges and universities haven't found a way to monetize a cellist. So guess what? They don't care if a cellist at 15 goes and he's part of the New York Symphony. They don't care at all. Why? Because they're not going to. But if it's a football player, no. Come on over here, because we need our tentacles in you first.
Yes.
You need to make us our billions before you go and make any money for yourself. That's a problem. I think that's un-American. I think it's unconstitutional. I think we need to look at it. We need to at least look at the fact that we need to give these kids their name and likeness back. I mean, at a minimum, we've already done that for the Olympic sport athletes in the Olympic model. Why in the world wouldn't we allow that for basketball and football players? Well, let me tell you why. Because you got to pay these coaches $7 million somehow. And how do you do that? Free labor. That's how it's done.
Joe, you make an excellent point. That's why I want to end this segment, because I don't like it when you look smarter than me. I'm going to ask you one last thing before we go.
Yes.
Has Dabo Swinney caught up with Nick Saban?
So last night it certainly seemed so. That was the first time that Alabama under Saban has been thoroughly outcoached in every facet, every situation.
Outcoached?
Absolutely, every part of the game plan. And I think a big reason why
wasn't good.
A big reason why is staff continuity. You know this about playing football. When you've got all sorts of turnover on the assistant coaches, you can lose the ability to game plan and be detail oriented. And what I saw last night was one staff in Alabama that's lost 13 assistant assistant coaches over the last 4 years and have had 4 different coordinator combinations in these 4 games with Clemson. Meanwhile, on the Clemson side, 2 assistant coaches have left in 4 years, and they've had the exact same coordinators all 4 times. Guess what? Clemson was more ready and had a better game plan than Alabama.
And that's the reason why Justin Ross went to Clemson and left Alabama.
More stability.
More stability on the Clemson sideline.
There's something about auctions that makes shopping much more enjoyable. Sports fans, it probably has something to do with the competition and suspense that auctions provide. But who wants to spend time researching where their nearest auction house is and then make the trek all the way there? I definitely don't. And that's why I love Pristine Auction, an online sports auction house where you can buy and sell sports memorabilia from the comfort of your home. Pristine Auctions runs tons of different auction formats, including multiple weekly auctions, a premium monthly auction, as well as daily and 10-minute auctions. They guarantee the authenticity of their items, and everything you purchase comes with authentication from the most trusted sources. And the best part is, it's so affordable. I just saw an autographed Magic Johnson photo that sold for only $12. There's plenty more where that came from, too. Check out Pristine Auction now. You'll be hooked. It's free to register, free to bid, and only you pay for the items you win. That's Pristine Auction, spelled Pristine, auction.com. And when you register, be sure to select the Speak for Yourself podcast from the drop-down menu in the How Did You Hear About Us section. This lets them know I sent you. Whitlock and Wiley, we're joined now by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez and D'Angelo Hall. Let's move to Kansas City, where Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs will host Andrew Luck and the Colts Saturday. Mahomes is coming off one of the most prolific seasons in NFL history, but his playoff debut comes against a resurgent Luck who has far more postseason experience, a fact which doesn't bode well for Mahomes. So far this year, quarterbacks making their playoff debuts have not fared well, going 0-3 with pretty anemic numbers. Not that Andy Reid sounds concerned.
Andy, what tells you this moment's not too big for Pat?
Yeah, well, so far I haven't seen anything that's really too big for Pat. I'm not even worried about that. He's going to get himself ready just like he does every week, and to play against a good football team. So, but I don't think he's wired the other way. And I'm not predicting anything. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just telling you, matter of fact, how he's wired and how he goes about his business.
Too much of a burden on Patrick Mahomes this weekend, in my opinion. The defense is going to be a liability. Andrew Luck has a lot of playoff experience. You guys know better than I do. I think playoff experience matters. And I think when you go into a game knowing that the other team has a better other side of the ball, it puts more pressure on Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes will probably try to do a little too much, and Andrew Luck will be able to sit back and wait on his defense to make a play or two. This is what concerns me, Patrick Mahomes' lack of playoff experience and Andrew Luck having plenty of it.
I think playoff experience certainly matters. Good playoff experience really matters. And if you look at Andrew Luck, hasn't had the best playoff experience if you talk about his numbers and really dive into them. So I'm going with Patrick Mahomes, who won 75% of his games with that limited defense. I'm going with a guy who, even when he presses and has a quote-unquote bad game, means 6 touchdowns and 5 turnovers. Okay, that's a horrible game. He still lights up the scoreboard. But if you look at Andrew Luck, I'm going to use his numbers, his history against him. Indoor, he's undefeated in the playoffs. Okay, 3-0, 65% completion percentage, touchdown and interception ratio 7-4. But everything flips when Andrew Luck gets outside. And guess what, mama? It's going to be cold outside in Kansas City. And boy, that 1-3, 50% completion percentage coming off an injury now. Oh, look at that. More interceptions than touchdowns. So when you say history, he has his own doubt bird. As soon as he hits that field, and we've all been there, Arrowhead, you've been there more than all of us, there were 2 things I remember. One, damn, how many people out here wearing red? Like everybody, the sea of red, and also the volume. Now you add the element of the cold and his history of not performing well in those elements, I say Patrick Mahomes prevails.
Home of the Chiefs. I'm going with Patty Mahomes, man.
Yes,
Look,
yes.
look, a lot of people always think, man, this is a bigger game. It's not a bigger game for Patrick Mahomes. It's the next game. As a player in that locker room, he's not thinking, oh, this is a playoff game. I gotta do a little bit extra. I got to do this or that. He's just going to go out there and be himself. All season he's played with this bad defense. All season he's known that, hey, I have to get the ball to this guy, that guy. I have to make plays with my feet. This isn't anything that's going to be different for him, going into this playoff game. Is it magnified because it's the playoffs? Yes, but it's because we all magnify it. I don't think Patrick Mahomes, I don't think Andy Reid magnifies this situation. And having a guy like Andy Reid on his side ultimately is why I always want to go with Patrick Mahomes, because I know how great Andy Reid is with scheming guys up. And this Colts defense, yes, they have played really good football. But what they do, the way they play defense, is a lot more zones. And I've seen Patrick Mahomes pick apart a lot of teams playing zone.
Yeah, there is no doubt in my mind both these quarterbacks that have come out and play outstanding this week. Patrick Mahomes, he's got two of the best offensive weapons in the NFL. And Travis Kelce, you could say, he was the All-Pro, and Tyreek Hill. I mean, these guys are unguardable. So Patrick Mahomes playing the way he is right now, he's going to have success. Andrew Luck going against that defense, doo-doo number one, doo-doo number two. I don't even know if they're all going to be on the field. Coming out, but they have a week's rest, okay? And so they knew kind of what's coming. I do believe that they're going to be able to step up and play. Chris Jones is going to put pressure on Andrew Luck. 2003, remember 2003?
Absolutely.
We had the best offense in the league in the Kansas City Chiefs with Priest Holmes, greatest offensive line ever, and we played against Peyton Manning in the playoffs, had the first-round bye, and there was no punts in that game. That our defense gave up a lot of points. Their defense gave up a lot of points. So this game is probably going to come down to a turnover. But if I'm trusting somebody, it's got to be Patrick Mahomes. He's the MVP of the league. He's shown he can play in big games throughout the season. The pressure's been there already. Yeah. So I'm with you. This is just the next game up, and he's going to go out there, and I anticipate he'll have at least 4 touchdowns in this football game.
Yeah. Let me tell you the universe the Chiefs exist in right now, and Patrick Mahomes as well. And God bless him. I hope he plays his tail off. But right now, in sports talk radio in Kansas City and on TV in Kansas City, everybody is talking about the Chiefs' history in the playoffs. They've never won a home playoff game in the divisional round or in the AFC Championship. They've only won at home in the wild card round. Never.
Yeah.
And I've been there for a lot of these games, the number 1 seed and supposed to do this and that, and they choke it away. That's the conversation everybody in Kansas City's having. And trust me, on game day, that's like a piano on your back.
No, it's not, though. It's not, Whit, because it's not his piano. It's not his.
Right.
It's the guys that came before him. The sins of your father don't apply to you in this situation.
You're talking about me now, right?
Yeah. It's him. He's the one. He's the one. But, no, like, at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, yes, he knows that. But he's looking like we all have been in that situation. Well, you guys haven't won a game and da-da-da. Or you haven't won in this place. So, man, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
I wasn't on that team.
It's amazing we use tradition usually against someone, but never talk about the fact that we don't even give you tradition. You play for the Lakers right now. Guess how many rings you got? None. I mean, all that great tradition doesn't carry over. And guess what? The opposite doesn't carry over either. All this negative tradition. Okay, that was what they went through and their experiences. But Patrick Mahomes, the only time I saw him look rattled, and this is me digging, was when he had to go on the road to play the Patriots in the first half. There were a few throws I was like, oh, he playing against Tom Brady. And then the second half, he came out there and lit it up and only lost by 3 points.
You think about the wrong guy.
This dude is not rattled.
I know. Y'all talking about Patrick Mahomes. I'm talking about the guys on the headset. Andy Reid's got a history, too.
Yeah,
and Andy Reid has been a part of the Chiefs' history. And I'm just telling you, that conversation, and y'all know better than I do. But that conversation, I think, that's going on in Kansas City and justifiably going on, I think it does seep into the coaches and the players. And that kind of pressure, a lot of times, bust pipes.
I will use your words that you said yesterday against you. What jersey number does Andy Reid wear?
He does call the plays.
What number
he does call
is he
the
inactive?
play.
Is he inactive?
He does call the play, and he will abandon the running game at the first sign.
Well, see, and to the heart of that, that's something that we aren't really talking about, or no one's really talked about. Kareem Hunt, like not having that guy, it made that team a lot different. because he was a guy that you could just give the ball to, and kind of like the Rams do with Todd Gurley, kind of like the Saints do with Alvin Kamara. It doesn't matter where you get this kid the ball. He was making plays back out the backfield. He was optioning routing guys. He was handing the ball off to him. The read option game was going strong. Not having him kind of, to me, puts Kansas City back down to earth a little bit, because he was an X factor that you talk about Tyreek Hill and Kelsey. He was right in that same category with those guys. And so that's hurting that team.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jason Whitlock, Marcellus Wiley. D'Angelo Hall is back. We're joined now by former NFL running back Rashad Jennings. Let's stay right here in Los Angeles with the Rams divisional round showdown with the Cowboys. The pressure has been on Jason Garrett all season, but after beating Seattle Saturday, Jerry Jones said people should start to think more highly of his coach. On the other sideline, boy genius Sean McVay is looking for his first postseason win after the Rams flamed out early in last year's playoffs. And that's kind of why I believe there's actually more pressure on the boy wonder, Sean McVay, to justify all the hype. If they lose their first playoff game again 2 years in a row, I think it takes a little of the shine off of Sean McVay. Not so much so that I think he's a flop or anything, but I just think he's been hailed, and everybody out there is looking for the next Sean McVay. Well, how about winning a playoff game and justifying some of that hype? Jason Garrett, on the other hand, has satisfied his boss, Jerry Jones, so I think there's more pressure on McVay.
Nah, disagree, man, and the devil's in the details here. One, Sean McVay and his cachet is so grand, he can go out there and lose again, and his job security is intact. If you listen to what even Jerry Jones said about Jason Garrett, he said, I want people to think more highly of him. He didn't say I want people to think high of him. So this is in increments. Guess what those increments means? Your job is on the line and your security is on the line every single time you go out there and coach on the sideline. So because the pressure can materialize with Jason Garrett and it won't materialize, win or loss, with Sean McVay, I'm saying the pressure's on the Dallas Cowboys and their coach.
Now, I'm saying the pressure's on Sean McVay. That's my guy. Everybody knows that. But the pressure is absolutely on him. You can't have a bye and have a team come into your place and beat you.
Why? It's a home game for the Cowboys.
It's going to be a lot of Cowboy fans in that stadium.
70%.
But you cannot beat Sean McVay and this offense and this Rams team and have the guys that they have and spent the money they spent to basically say, hey, we're going all in this year. We feel like we have the chance to win the whole thing. Jason Garrett, to me, has bought himself another 3 or 4 years. He's good. Midway through the season, nobody even expected the Cowboys, except for probably Jerry Jones, to make the playoffs. They end up winning the division. The Redskins have major injuries all over. The Eagles still creep in the playoffs as well. The Giants, we all know what happened there. So the NFC East is up for grabs. Dallas wins that. Bam. Then they win a playoff game. I think, like I said, Jason Garrett has bought himself a lot of time. I don't think Sean McVay's on the hot seat by any means,
not close,
but the pressure's definitely on him to win this football game that they're favored by 7 points to win.
Yeah, being favored. I mean, you take both. It's difficult because you're talking about pressure. Neither one's job secure. Both of them are job secure. I strongly believe. You take the Dallas Cowboys, which in 2017 they were 97, missed the playoffs. This year they're 10-6 in the playoffs. On top of that, they lost a Hall of Famer, soon to be one day, inside of Jason Witten, which was Dak's go-to guy. I personally believe he was the comfort for him. And they also lost their best receiver, and they're in the playoffs. I don't see as much pressure over there. But on the other side, same as well. McVay, 4-12 in 2016, took that team immediately to 11-5. Now 13-3 in the playoffs again. Now, I'm with you. He's younger, and he has not yet to do anything in the playoffs. So I feel he has a little bit more pressure if you had to say one coach.
Man, will y'all stop this? Hold on. Sean McVay's so done data out there. He getting his assistants that even call plays head coaching jobs.
You right about that?
Where's Jason Garrett's coaching tree? I ask you.
Ain't nobody.
And then you want to go here. Every week it's a conversation about his job. You're not that secure if my owner got to keep coming out vouching for me. That's almost a kiss of death.
It's just this Cowboys team.
To me, Marcel,
they bought themselves time.
It's to whom much is given, much is expected.
I give you that.
And they went out and paid for Wade Phillips. They don't went out and paid Ndamukong Suh. Marcus
Brandon
Peters, Aqib Talib, Dante Fowler. They done gave this young coach everything. Brandon
Not
Cooks.
everything.
What?
You know what? Just like what's going on in Oakland and they're cleaning the shelves, same thing with the Rams. Even though they want to win now, this is all just a ramp up till they get to that new stadium. And it's amazing if you think about it, they are not letting that young genius coach go until they get into that new Pride Stadium and maximize and monetize. So
Again, I think we're all in agreement. Neither
Yeah.
coach is going anywhere.
Yeah.
And Marcellus, you may be right. Jason Garrett might be under more fireable pressure.
Right.
But in terms of the media, the conversation about Sean McVay, we build people up to tear him down.
Yeah.
And now that everybody's running around trying to get the next Sean McVay, if he doesn't produce in this postseason,
Wrong.
we're going to start calling BS.
I hate to say wrong like that, but
like
Aaron
that.
Rodgers is Teflon. If the team doesn't do well, all y'all got to go.
everybody
Coach,
else's fault.
Everybody else fault. Sean McVay's in that same golden place. He's
Oh,
in
no,
that,
not
Even
as a
more so
coach.
than Sean McVay, isn't the Rams team, don't you view them as a better team than the Cowboys?
Yes.
Overall,
Yeah,
pound
yeah.
for pound.
So they should win.
Right.
Hence, the pressure should be on the team who's supposed to win.
All right, welcome back to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock. Guy over here is Marcellus Wiley. Time to put on our thinking caps. Joe Klatt, Colorado's finest, and D'Angelo Hall, Virginia Tech's finest, are back with us. As you all know, I'm a journalist, and we've got our resident Ivy Leaguer, Columbia's very own Marcellus Wiley. So we're going to take a deeper look at a big issue in sports. We've got a special cap for the Columbia grad. Darnell, bring it out. I can't wait to see Marcellus's Columbia transcripts.
Dope.
I cannot wait.
A lot of words with F's.
All right, let's move to college football, where UFC offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury has been at the center of some controversy this week, with the school attempting to block him from interviewing for NFL head coaching jobs. Kingsbury took the USC job only a few weeks ago, but according to Fox's own Peter Schrager, Kingsbury is now finalizing a deal to become the Cardinals head coach. But even before Kingsbury got his new job, the whole situation had our buddy Colin Cowherd up in arms, tweeting, quote, "I'm old school. When you accepted a job at one place and sign a contract, you don't ask to interview at another place 2 weeks later. Crazy talk in 2019, I know. I'm now just a typewriter and a notepad living amongst all you MacBook Pros." I don't have a problem with what Kingsbury's doing. And the reason why is because he's getting a major promotion. And so if I take a job at McDonald's, working the French fry stand, and then 2 weeks later, they offer me a job to manage the McDonald's, it's a no-brainer to me.
Got to move on up.
And so if this was some kind of lateral move, he was going to the NFL to be an offensive coordinator, or to another college to be an offensive coordinator, I get it. But there's only 32 of these jobs, and he got one. You know, I'm just sorry. If Beyonce calls.
Hello. Well, before she got married, but yeah, before then, yeah.
Even after.
This dude. Wow. Stay on the fries. Stay on the fries.
Yeah.
I knew you wouldn't have a problem with it. You got a typewriter. You and Colin, the old school. Look, here's the thing. I'm with you here. You can't have an honor system that only goes one way in transmission. Like, we hire you and you stay here for services rendered, we pay you. Sounds amazing. I'll stay there as a coach too, but never fire me because, what happened to the honor? Honor this contract. You're not honoring this contract. Why should I? And he has not given them anything of service. So why are they so hurt in this experience? They do it all the time to their coaches. They totally undermine Clay Helton right now. Told him, we want to keep your skeleton and get rid of all your flesh, all your personnel, all your coaching staff. Everyone has to go. You stay. I just don't understand the contradiction of honor and the usage with him.
Yeah, I'm just a little mind blown that Cliff thought that he wasn't going to get a head job somewhere. I mean, this guy I thought was a really good coach. You know, he's at Texas Tech. They obviously aren't winning enough games, so he gets booted out. Like, I don't understand how coaches in general don't like to go home to their families and kids. Like, if you're still getting paid, why do you feel the need to go sit on somebody else's sideline, help break down somebody else's
He's
film?
single.
Well, I mean,
There it is.
do you have any other hobby besides football? Because
Yes, he does.
because
We
this
can't
is a
talk
guy who at USC,
Winning.
you know, you take the USC OC job.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a problem with them leaving because, like you said, it's a promotion, and everyone should be allowed to take a promotion anywhere.
Even in demotion.
In the league, they
if
don't-
I
they
elect
don't
to
agree
get
like that.
demoted, if I elect to go somewhere else because it's close to my heart,
Or it's better for me.
better for me.
Yeah.
It's not up to you to choose. that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
not.
think that the only way that I would agree with USC here is if it was a lateral move, right? Because I would be like, well, why in the world did you entertain us then when you knew a lateral move would be possible? So Cliff understood. He had offers right when he got fired from a coordinator perspective in the NFL. I don't think he realized there would be head coaching opportunity. He knew that there would be NFL opportunity, but I think he thought it was going to be as an assistant. And so he thought, well, if I'm going to be an assistant, I'm going to be an assistant at the college level where I can still impact young people. I'm going to do it in a place where I want to go live, and he chose USC. The thing that I have a problem with is that USC pumping out their chest like, well, you can't leave us for a head. What do you mean? It's a head coaching position. That's absolutely crazy. You cannot block upward mobility. Yeah. That's a big thing for me. This is one of the things that I think this country is founded on, right, is the pursuit of happiness. And this upward mobility I have no problem with. I will say this, and I like Cliff a lot. He's a great offensive mind, Didn't last week's playoff games put a little hole in that ship that we're talking about, that the NFL is just about offense now? See, the league to get the Super Bowl is not Rams versus Chiefs on Monday night from earlier in the season. It's Bears-Eagles playing a low-scoring under-20s game. It's Chargers-Ravens playing a low-scoring game. I think, to me, you can question Arizona more than you can question Cliff Kingsbury in this situation.
You can question the entire NFL, and that's a great segue into the second layer of this. Everybody has fallen so in love with Sean McVay that anybody that has a hairstyle similar to Sean McVay
and they're young
is a potential head coaching candidate. And they've gone overboard with
I don't know, Jay. I'm not a head coaching candidate.
You might be.
I don't know.
And they've gone overboard
your
with
name in
this
the hat. You might can.
offensive infatuation. Oh, my God, somebody can call plays, and they draw up great plays. They must be the next head coach. We've fallen in love with Sean McVay when Bill Belichick is still here. And I just don't get how come people aren't.
It's the shiny new object in the room. It's the shining, and listen, our industry falls in love with it. Executives in our industry, executives in the NFL, they fall in love with the shiny new object. The reality is, even at the college level, you can say all these offenses are amazing at the college level. Oklahoma hasn't won a national championship. You know what it takes to win a national championship, even at the college level, where these offenses became in vogue? You got to be balanced. You got to stop the other team on third down, 3 of 14. That's what last night Alabama was against Clemson. What did Clemson have? The best front seven on defense in all of college football.
And
great
a hell of a
defensive
DC.
line.
Well, you know what? I hate to be the one to push back on you guys, but you're absolutely incorrect. If we want to just use last week as an example, last week, if you look at who won and who lost, there were the top offenses in our league were Kansas City Chiefs and Los Angeles Rams. They didn't even play last week. Top defenses in our league were the Baltimore Ravens, who lost, and the Buffalo Bills, who didn't even get to the playoffs. I'm just saying, at the top, if you want to look at what these defenses do, we all understand balance is the best. If you have a well-balanced team, well-oiled machine, you're going to win.
Yes.
But at the top, I understand why you love a Sean McVay, why you love an offensive mind. One, I just showed you the top two offenses don't even play. They skipped this week. Two, the economics. Think about it. Most owners sit there and know, candidly, we're not getting our fingerprints on the Lombardi Trophy. Just think about an owner. Most owners don't win championships, but they all make money. So they're sitting there saying, what is going to make someone purchase these season tickets? Give them an entertainment product beyond just the competition of sport. Because if you go to any stadium now, why do we have Wi-Fi? Why can we order food from the seats? Why can we do all these other things except worry about wins and losses? It's because it's more of an entertainment product. It's smart to have a McVay who's going to excite you with a 50-point performance than going somewhere where they're only going to give up 10 points.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
It's early in the process.
Okay.
I'm with you. I'm faulting Arizona in this situation because I just don't think he's done enough at Texas Tech to even garner that kind of consideration to be a head football coach for the Arizona Cardinals. I'm just mind blown. That offense to me is so gimmicky. To me, it's not a pro-style offense. It's a lot of short, quick passes, bam, bam. It's kind of like Chip Kelly. And that was an infatuation for a little while with a lot of people in the league.
Now,
and
I
it
will
worked for
say-
a little while, but it ultimately didn't work.
The only pushback I'm going to give you is that this is not the true air raid style like Mike Leach, right? And this is not – Cliff's offense is actually much more NFL than any of these other spread offenses because of his connections with New England. So he would go back to New England. One of his closest friends is Josh McDaniels, and he would study that offense. They had more movement and more ability to at least formation and match up a defense than any of the other air raid offenses,
And
which
how
would stay
successful
static.
did that make him at Texas Tech?
Offensively, very successful. Now, the management
Fireable,
of
though?
the management of the program then on the defensive side and the recruiting, all of those. But offensively, he was very good. And this is a lot of Patrick Mahomes now. Remember, Patrick Mahomes is out here doing amazing things. Who was his coach? Cliff Kingsbury.
Let me tell you, though, why he got fired, in my view. From afar, not that I watched that closely, but 35 and 40 with this amazing offense, and he had Patrick Mahomes, and he's NFL coach, NFL teams want him. He's immature. He's immature. There's a reason why most coaches are settled, they're married, they're involved in families, and they make better decisions than taking the USC offensive coordinator job
'Cause I like
when there are
LA.
rumors.
Yeah.
There were rumors before he took the job that the NFL head coaching
For you.
opportunities were
Yeah.
out there. And so, again, it was like, oh, LA, it's going to be fun. I'm going to take this.
Yeah.
That's not a mature decision, and that's why he's backing out of it so quickly and taking an NFL head coaching job.
Agreed. Now, let's talk about why he was hired and get Arizona off the hook. They're taking a bad rap in this. They're smart for doing this. I tell you why. They need to fix Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen came in as the most quarterback-ready draft choice of all those last year, supposedly by evaluators. Josh Rosen had the worst quarterback rating of all starting quarterbacks last year.
I mean, the 10
this is
guys
a marriage
around him
for
were
them.
awful.
Well, he's not very good either. He's one of the most arrogant, cocky kids I've ever seen who hadn't made a play.
Smoke.
Coming out, I said, I don't like if I'm a player on that team and I'm a veteran and I hear him talking like he was talking after the draft, yeah, we got a problem. Because, son, you hadn't done nothing.
And now you've just paired him
With another
an
arrogant-
immature
Yeah.
coach who just took a foolish job at USC and has already bounced on that decision. That's the guy that keeps getting engaged 10 or 15 times.
I'm here. I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here,
Oh,
brother.
let me stop. Look,
I'm here, brother.
All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley. Fox Sports NBA analyst Jim Jackson joins us. Let's move to the NBA, where the Rockets just keep on rolling, with James Harden dropping 32 points and 14 assists in a win over the Nuggets. Harden has now scored 30 or more points in 13 straight games, and Houston has won 12 of their last 14, even though Chris Paul has been sidelined for 8 games. In fact, it looks like the Rockets haven't missed Paul at all, going 7-1 with Harden, averaging more than 40 points and 9 assists and shooting 40% from 3. And today, Mike D'Antoni said Paul will be out another 2 to 3 weeks. All right, listen, I don't want to make too much of it. James is on a hot streak. But I do think this indicates to me that James, when Chris Paul comes back, it's going to be a little less 1A and 1B and more Chris Paul's number 2. This is James Harden's team, and Chris Paul's going to have to adjust.
Well, with all that said, I mean, as great as the Rockets are playing, and they should have been in the finals last year, obviously up 3-2 before the Chris Paul injury, they still ain't better than the damn Clippers.
Oh, come on, man.
Right now. I mean, come on.
We're not talking about the Clippers.
I'm just letting y'all know, like, pump the brakes now. They ain't world beaters, because we are. This is a blessing in disguise. Chris Paul has always had his injury concerns and issues pop up at the wrong time, playoff basketball. What this is going to do is preserve Chris Paul. And maybe he doesn't have to be the 1A, 1B combo. He could be the 2. That's fine, because Chris Paul last year in the playoffs, when James Harden hits his fatigue wall, which he hits every single year in the playoffs, saved his team in multiple moments. So I'm looking forward to a preserved Chris Paul doing the same thing this year.
You know, it's interesting because when Chris came, it was all about him relieving the pressure of James Harden on the point guard, but also being able to make plays and also defensively guard up against other point guards. I think it's interesting in Mike D'Antoni's offense, though, that James Harden seems to flourish a lot more because the ball is in his hands. Keep in mind, Eric Gordon is not playing his best basketball right now either. So I think teams fluctuate during the course of the year where ups and downs, expectations are not exceeded, but then they go on a little streak. The question is, how sustainable is it without Chris Paul? We've seen it in a short burst of 8 games, but if we start talking about 15, 20, 25 games, ultimately, the Rockets want to win a championship. So the question is, are they better without Chris Paul to win a championship, or is this something short term? I think they're better with Chris Paul because he gives you a different dynamic at the point guard position, but maybe at a reduced role in regards to handling the ball.
Right. Okay, so again, I certainly don't believe they're better without him. I do think perhaps they're better with him being clearly number 2 behind James Harden.
But how would he play? That's the question. Where would you
He's going to have to play without the ball a little less.
Well, here's the thing though, you can put a Chris Paul on the wing, kick it to him, and now let him run pick and roll. Now he can be a distributor and a scorer. Maybe the bulk of the ball handling now goes on to James Harden, where he's initiating everything, and now Chris can be a facilitator on the wing. There's ways within D'Antoni's offense that Chris still can be effective on the side instead of at the point guard.
Would he be mentally okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, there were times last year when everyone was talking about the transition, and early on, Chris Paul has to play off ball. Chris Paul has to be a spot-up three-point shooter in the corner. Chris Paul was flourishing in that role, and then obviously the marriage started to be balanced, and he started to get his playmaking opportunities with the ball in hand. I like the fact that Chris Paul is just buying time because James Harden, how much tread is going to be left at the end of this season? Think about it. He's hit the fatigue wall without having to do this. Now he's trying to bring this team from way down to trying to get to the top of the standings once again. That's exhausting. Let's see how long it lasts.
Well, it's tough because through an 82-game period, the way he plays, okay? He plays hard because he got the ball. He got to dribble, get into the basket. It wears you down. Can Chris Paul, when he gets back later in the season especially, take some of that burden off of James Harden and make it easier for him to get baskets? Because going one-on-one like that for 82 games, man, I saw with AI, it tears you up a little bit.
Time to get antisocial. Whitlock and Wiley, joined by Jim Jackson.
Jimmy J.
Time for my favorite segment. Our social media manager, Darnell Smith, is here.
Big Swole.
Tell us what's popping.
What's popping
on the
Look at Ooh, that helmet is ugly. That new one? Is that a new one?
This one?
Yeah, that's
been
trash.
turned around.
That's been here.
What is that?
It's just turned to the other
Well,
side.
turn it the other way.
Get your man, Whitlock. Anyway,
That is a mess.
let's start with Drake.
Yeah.
The Toronto Raptors super fan decided to hop on Bama's bandwagon right before the national championship game. But after the blowout loss last night against Clemson, Twitter can't stop talking about the curse of Drake. He's throwing his weight behind the Miami Heat, Kentucky basketball, and Conor McGregor before big losses. Guys, I typically don't believe in curses, but the proof's in the pudding. Do you guys believe the Drake curse is real?
Had I seen this before kickoff, I would have consulted my bookie and put everything in. I wish I had seen this before kickoff.
Yeah, I don't believe in the curses. I
don't?
No, hell no. Because, what you believe, ghosts and goblins too? Like, do you hear that noise downstairs, honey? Like, none of that is anything.
Who's the little dude in the bay that put the curse on the
Oh, yeah. What's the rapper?
Lil B.
Lil B.
Bass guy. Yeah.
Bass guy.
Little B. Put something on
That's
Marcel.
the homie one. He better not.
Hey, man, listen, I believe in spaceships. I believe in aliens. I believe in coincidences. It's a reason why we talking about 4 times now.
Yeah.
Drake is my guy.
Okay.
We got a lot in common on some things. I'm
I'm
not even going to talk to you about it.
BBW.
But, dog, this is the fourth time.
You gonna count the record of times where he doesn't curse, like the Toronto Raptors right now? They're not cursed.
Yes, they are.
They're like the best team in the league.
They couldn't get past
LeBron.
That's right.
And he was boys with LeBron. How'd that work out? LeBron was balling.
But he wasn't on the Cavs side.
This is like the Kardashian curse. We forget that Lamar Odom won the damn 6th Man of the Year.
Hold up, what happened to James Harden? He said the best thing he did was moved on. And now look at his career.
You know
Thank
what?
you.
Hold on.
Thank you.
Let me help you out, Marcel. I'm trying to figure out, does Birdman owe you money too? Is that what you got in common with Drake?
You're like, I'm gonna start right there.
I wasn't spitting like that. So.
Darnell, what's next?
Respect. All right, moving on to another Young Money affiliate, the GOAT, Lil Wayne, who performed at the halftime show during the national championship game. But what stood out even more than his performance was his outfit. He had a lot going on.
Come on, man.
Come on. Social media crowned him, man, comparing him to E.T., Joey from Friends, and the Hamburglar. I know you guys ain't got the best style in the world, Whitlock. What do y'all think about Lil Wayne's outfit?
Hey, man.
What?
That was crazy last night. I don't know what he was wearing.
You ain't feeling
I don't
it?
know what he was.
I give you, this is my mindset when you're talking about superstars. It's like when I first met Floyd, he had on like 97 chains. And then I was like, if the champ of the world can't wear 97 chains, who can? If Lil Wayne can't wear that, nobody can. And I think Lil Wayne qualifies to wear it.
Listen, man, I was at my cigar spot last night, and, it was some others that were there, and we were watching, and everybody was just in awe of what was going on. I want to know, what point do you get to as a mega superstar where you just don't care?
I like it.
Because, you do it, but it just, that's a lot of clothes to put on, bro.
And he took them right off. He took them right off, too, in the first song. He was off.
But when he looked in the mirror, what did he say?
Did he even look?
You don't need to
Somebody
look.
told him. No, that's fly.
That is fly.
Somebody told him.
It's like 9 stylists all combining on one project, baby. And they just nailed that. I love that, man.
That's called the kitchen sink outfit.
Man.
Everything but the kitchen sink on Wayne.
And you get to a certain age in life where you don't give a damn. You get to a certain status, too, where you just...
That's my fellow Libra, too, bro. And, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But it's good for Lil Wayne.
All right, Darnell, what's next?
Each his own, man. All right, one last thing from the game last night. Nick Saban had some unusual comments. Take a listen.
As always, I appreciate, I know you all think I don't like the press, but I really do love you for what you do to give a lot of positive self-gratification to a lot of our players by recognizing the things that they do well. And we certainly appreciate all the interest you create for our sport. And college football is a great game and something that's great for these young people to be able to learn a lot of lessons in life. So we appreciate you so much for that. Thank you.
Twitter was skeptical of Saban here with one guy tweeting, manipulating the media always. He thinks if he's nice, no one will write the "is a Saban dominance era" over articles. Y'all buying the new sweet talking Saban?
I do. If they had won, he wouldn't have said it.
Right.
Now, I do believe that. I do think he means it, though. I think he was humbled in that game. And sometimes when you have a humble spirit, you just say what you really think. And so.
Yeah, and you also learn more in losses. So this is part of the learning process for Nick Saban, who had a big media scandal this year, and so wants to clean that up. He even apologized for that before, coming out with the old Saban way when he was talking to the media. Why not at the end of the year just say, you know what, let's start fresh, let's start new. I'm like it.
It's so hard, though, to believe it's genuine coming from a guy like Nick Saban who's always fought it, especially in press conferences afterwards. Even when he's won, he's pushed back on the media. Now you do it after a bad loss, where you got question on a lot of your play calling, okay? That comes back to you. Now, is it reversed to, as far as the message you send to your players, like, listen, no matter what, you're always professional. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's what we do. So it could be like this, but I just know a lot of people just not gonna buy.
But when he lost to Deshaun Watson, he still was gangster on the media.
That's what I'm saying.
So you can lose and still be gangster.
Yeah, but 44-16 ain't losing.
Yeah, it
That's a curb stopper. He was humble. He got his
got
butt
humble.
whooped.
They sent the limo for Nick Saban.
And he got humble. So I think it's coming from a real place.
Right.
If they had won, he wouldn't have
Would
said
you
it.
like some fresh water, Mr. Saban?
Humble pie. Humble pie.
All right, moving on to some hoops. Ball Is Life Twitter page released this mixtape of Bronny James Jr. tweeting that he has big shoes to fill. So Papa LeBron replied saying, tough mixtape, but know that the only shoes he has to fill is his own. Do y'all like LeBron trying to take some of the pressure off of his son?
I'm going to let y'all fathers go first.
I love it, except I don't like Twitter as a response. Like, when you mess up in life or someone disagrees with you in life, this whole talking to the loud minority, which is Twitter and social media, I'm parenting my child, so he knows already. What y'all think on the outside, I'm trying to make him Teflon to that, not try to attack you guys to minimize the noise from the outside.
No, I like that, Marcellus, because he doesn't have to explain it. Now, listen, I covered Michael Jordan's son when he played at Illinois, how tough that was for him. I mean, you can't live up to that. And I understand what LeBron is saying because my son had to go through a lot of the same things growing up in Columbus, Ohio, the expectations. But I said, you know what, bro? It outweighs the bad. You get a lot of good stuff from being my son, so embrace it. But the sooner you learn how to deal with the adversity and expectations, the better off you'll be.
There it is.
And that's what I told him.
Right.
You know, I think LeBron was transparent on his show on Showtime or HBO One, where he said he regrets putting the name on his son.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure the guy that he's tweeting back and forth with was like, well, hold on, man. You named him after you. You put that pressure on him.
Yeah.
And so the pressure's going to be there, whether the mixtape is out or whether people comment on the mixtape. The pressure's going to be, he's LeBron James' son.
Yeah.
He's carrying the name. LeBron shows up at a lot of his basketball games. He tweets about his son's playing career so far, says he wants to play with him in the NBA. The pressure's going to be there.
No matter what his name is. His
Yeah.
name could be Willis. Willis James. Is that LeBron's son? That boy gonna be good.
Look just like LeBron.
He look just like it.
Oh, Willis James, ball out.
Got better hair, though.
All right, thank you.
Boy, hold on, Bronny. That's pressure. Now that's pressure.
Real pressure. Uncle Jimmy's here to help us talk about our approval ratings for Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney. Uncle Jim, hold on, are you the pilot? Are you air traffic control?
All of the damn above. Ain't you been looking at the news, man? Come on, man.
Yo,
First, I got the job, man. They like, here, man, bring the planes down. Hey, right here. Put it right here. Not right there, right here. Then they like, hey, well, take this over there. I'm like, what the hell you talking about? They throw me the keys to the plane.
The keys.
And I got, real talk, I'm good. I got all of it down except for that landing part now.
That's the most important part.
Not so much.
You work for Soul Food Plane? or
Oh,
what?
man, soul played over there.
Hey,
Soul Food Plane.
hey, I'm in the front, it's craps in the back. What you talking about, man? Come on, let's go, man.
And you doing security, too?
Oh, I got, man, they doing everything.
TSA.
They didn't tell me all of this.
Patting us down and flying us.
They everything.
All right, hold on. Here's our discussion from earlier about Dabo Swinney and Clemson. The 2018 college football season closed with a whimper last night. Dabo Swinney's Clemson Tigers smashed Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide 44-16.
Think about this. College football was good, and perfect is the enemy of good. What they tried to do was enhance something that was already damn good and try to make it perfect, and what they did is now undermine what the product was, which is now those regular season games don't mean exactly the same. And then after the conference championship games, Lord, December 24th on, what are we watching up into those moments?
All right, Uncle Jimmy, we got into a little discussion about Dabo Swinney. Has he caught up with Nick Saban? Did he punk Nick Saban last night? 44-16. It was a beatdown. Anyway, what's your take on Dabo Swinney in the game last night?
Well, before I get started, can I just throw it out there to somebody? Can we start calling this segment A Moment with Uncle Jimmy?
A moment?
I mean, you know, because I need y'all to gather around, sit down here on the little mat, and let me explain the story to you.
Little campfire, huh? Campfire with Uncle
go
Jimmy.
ahead.
Let me explain this to you, man. Let me tell you what you had last night. Last night, what you had was two urban great mythical legends, two urban bullies. You got your boy Debo from the movie Friday, and your boy Omar from The Wire.
Ooh.
Debo versus Omar. Must-see TV.
That was.
You know.
So I guess Dabo was Debo.
You catching up.
All right.
See, no, here's the thing, man. Look, let me show you something. I'm sitting up here watching it last night, man, and the moment I saw Debo start going across the field, Now, you work with me for a minute, Merkulis. The moment I saw Debo start running across the field, I got nervous. I started screaming like a group of black people at a monster movie, because here go Debo. I'm like, oh, shit, here comes Debo. Debo, I got to throw this down here like this here, man, because here he come, Right. And I'm like, damn, man, here comes Debo.
Chain off.
Yeah. Tuck it in. You should tuck it in, but go ahead. Take
huh?
You tucked the chain.
Yeah, I had to tuck the chain in because Debo was coming.
You need to tuck your earpiece in.
And I couldn't.
You done made
it was shocking. No, man, Fred, here come Debo, and I'm looking like, why come you can't see this happening, man? And so then I'm looking up here, man, so I'm thinking, I'm like, damn, what should I do next? Because here go Debo sneaking up on him like that, and so I wondered, I said, Kyle, what should I say?
Do you think Dabo punked?
Do I think he
Nick
punked
Saban?
him?
Is that what you're saying? Is that your point?
Man, look, let me explain what you. Look what happened to Omar at the end of the wire. He got reckless. He got sloppy. You know what I'm saying? He got reckless, sloppy, and then he just got arrogant. Okay, and I'm not talking about Jason. I'm talking about Omar. Saban been walking around college for years, man. Walking around college, just telling teams, hey, man, throw your stash on out the window. Yeah, don't make me have to come in there.
And that whistle.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, Saban coming through, man. Everybody in the SEC screaming. Here comes Saban, here comes Saban, here comes Saban. And the only thing that happened was Dabo caught Saban slipping at the 7-Eleven, buying a pack of cigarettes.
Pack of drags.
Hey, you know as well as I do, Saban needed that ass whooping.
So you think Saban will be back? You think he'll recover?
Oh, indeed. Omar don't scare. Omar don't scare.
That's true.
The next time Saban see Dabo, it's going to be just like when Omar cornered Stringer Bell in the construction site. He going to take out Dabo, and then he going to cut the ponytail off that Beach Boy quarterback of his. Man, let me tell you something. Hey, man, you remember what your boy said? What was the big fat boy? Prop Joe?
Yeah.
Man, what Prop Joe say? Hey, man, Saban got more bodies on him than a Kardashian at a Charlie Sheen sleepover.
We got to give our approval rating on Dabo, sweetie. I got him at a 90, GOAT status.
Nice.
At a 90. 25 job performance. The man's almost perfect. I love his character, everything about him. Dabo at a 90.
I got him at a 93, so I think even more of him. Amazing. He seems authentic. He seems like he wears the program on his sleeve. He's emotional. He's all in with the players. Respect to you, Dabo. Now we have two great coaches going at it every year. I love it.